Steve from OysterGro, and I'm going to give you a technical overview on the largest of our hybrid shift systems, the HighFlo. The HighFlo is a 6-bag system, and why is it called HighFlo? Well, it's named after the float, which is our internationally patented float with some very, very unique and specific features that helps it perform at a higher level, increasing your feed and increasing flow to your oysters. So what am I talking about here? We're talking about the flow channels that we have through here. So the water not only flowing underneath the cage and through the cage with the shelves that we have in there, it also now doesn't get blocked by the float. It basically flows through the float. So that gives you a much more equalized flow, thus feed to your oysters. So also the height, so this is a larger version of the Pro Flow, taller, and the reason for that, this specific design is intended for high energy areas. So people use this where there's a heavier current or a heavy wind swell, or a lot of people use it on some larger farms where they would probably have their high flows on the outside of their lease and some pro flows on the inside of the lease, because this can cope with more water, because when you come to air dry, you're lifting it up and you're getting more clearance from the moving water underneath, stopping it splashing and allowing you to have an effective and efficient air dry. When it comes to the air drying as well, obviously as much of a benefit the flow channels are for water flow and nutrient getting to the oysters, it's also allowing more air circulation to the cage, thus giving you a quicker, more efficient air dry. So you get your air dry done quicker, you can get your cages flipped back in the water, less potential stress on your oysters, and they're back to basically feeding and growing. So essentially more efficient for you. So that's the HighFlo float. This particular float is shown in our Stealth. We have two options to choose from when it comes to color. Stealth basically is an option that people go for when they want to melt away into the seascape. So they just want to be not as obvious. So if you've got lots of overlooking people, or you just want to be a little bit hard to see. Also, Stealth has some benefits that anyone who's in a higher temperature area, obviously the lighter flow, you get less heat transfer through into the water as it radiates through the cage to your oysters. Heat stress can be something that affects some people, so in those cases Stealth is a good way to combat that. So let's look at the cage. The cage itself is basically aluminum round bar construction, using the highest strength materials that we could get in the market. So it's stronger than other products that are out there. And rather than doing traditional welds, all the joints are TIG weld, fully TIG welded, just because it's given us a much stronger joint and bonded. We designed and engineered and built these basically to last. So for us to make sure that happens, we had to make sure that we're using the best materials and actually manufacturing with the very best processes. So the cage works very simply. Traditional gator, which is a standard system that we have, basically double loop with a hook that goes over. So that's what's contained in your bags. You have one bag, full-size OysterGro bags, 2 bags in each cavity, and then a shelf dividing them. The shelf's there for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, basically separating your oysters, letting the flow through, so more flow, better growth, better nutrient reach to your oysters. And then the other reason for the shelf is basically we've got this high tensile like structure that's going from one side to the other. So in a recovery situation where you've sunk your cages to the seafloor for a storm, a hurricane, or if you're in the cooler climates where you have sea ice over a winter, when you're hauling up, you're transferring that energy directly through the cage. Alternatively, if you don't have a system like this, you could buckle, bend and twist the cage, which basically wouldn't be good for the cavity sizes. You're going to have some inconsistencies there, and also you start having too much flex and movement. You can start work hardening the materials, which will shorten the life of the product. So the bags slide in and slide out very easily. Obviously we looked into all of these elements because at the end of the day you guys are going to be doing this many times a day on the farm, so making things efficient and easy to use as possible. You grab the gator. The gator's got a nice handy hand grab there with the rope. Just slides on, locks in place, and everything's nice and tight. It's fully contained. The bags can't get out, and if the bags can't get out, you're not going to lose any oysters, and that's important because that's your investment. So that's just a brief overview of our high flow system on the hybrid shift option. And I'm sure if you have any other questions or you want to find out more, you can give us a call on the number listed below, or email us at the line at the end of the tag. Enjoy your day. Thanks a lot.